Warning. Two Seals and a Walrus talks about the controversial subject matter of taking personal control of your mind and body, living an epic life, and giving absolutely zero fucks for anyone who would suggest you do otherwise. Thus, any discussions we have about anything, including disregarding the status quo, leading with compassion, and exploring personal and collective consciousness with the aid of controlled substances, is done for education and harm reduction purposes only. This meets YouTube's community guidelines and limitations for advertising revenue eligibility, but it's also common sense. P.S. We love you. Don't fuck that up.
Two Seals and a Walrus.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to episode 4 of Two Seals and a Walrus, which is the only podcast ever that has two co-hosts that are actual Navy SEALs. You know, like Joe Rogan, he's a cool guy and he talks about consciousness expansion and he has Navy SEALs on his fucking podcast.
Like
but
Dan Bilzerian.
As much as I love the Joe Rogan podcast and as much as I love that he is an inspiration for us to do this show and for the cool people that he has on, including Navy SEALs, he doesn't have two hosts that are Navy SEALs themselves. I'm Sean Webb. To my right, we have Navy SEAL sniper and medic, combat medic, Ben Johnson. To his right, we have Navy SEAL sniper, Doug Moulton. And we're talking about consciousness expansion and becoming a master of your mind and just like improving your life through taking control of how your mind works and thinking about things a little different way. And we do it with a fuckload of funny. And this one is the last episode talking about our trip down into the Amazon jungle to swim with piranha, pet wild monkeys, do copious amounts of entheogenic psychedelics with the Peruvian shamans who have mastered the art of creating ayahuasca. And part 4 today is going to talk about our use or experimentation with Sonoran frog toad venom, sweat, excretion, whatever it is. 5-methyl-oxydimethyltryptamine is the chemical compound in question, which is over and above the potency of the N,N-dimethyltryptamine that we talked about in the last few episodes. And so we're going to need you to share this stuff because just saying those words will not allow for our videos to be popped up on the suggested video sidebar.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really cool. Now, not all of our podcasts will
because saying a word that's of a drug or chemical that's determined by the U.S. government to be a Schedule 1?
Yeah.
Is dick skin Schedule 1?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. The Google algorithms, first of all, they do language analysis, and so they will turn our voice into text and do a text analysis and then flag it for things that they don't want to share because they are certain topics. And so certain,
I love Google.
We started with Rogan, right? Certain of a number of his episodes where he talks about that stuff don't pop up as suggested videos because they have said something about that in their video.
Why?
And sometimes they get flagged for things and whatnot because talking about that stuff is, I won't say non-kosher. That is not cool.
Going there again.
Right, the Jews can eat it all they want.
Right, yeah, totally.
Man, I didn't know that. Sorry, that just really threw me off.
Yeah, and so...
Is that why every time I look up chicks fucking horses, it just doesn't, like, nothing pops up?
Yeah, nothing.
Weird.
You're not going to get anything there. So...
Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, so... But this is a show where we have two actual Navy SEALs and we have a master of mind. I wrote a couple of books on how the mind works and how to take control of your shit. If you want to, you can check those out by popping by our website. I'll put up some lists there. I'm not going to do any plugs for the book beyond the standard.
Of course not.
Beyond the standard 3 that we will we'll throw in there.
No pun intended.
Fucking plug your book in the butt.
But here we go. So today we're going to wrap up our discussion of our trip down into the Amazon jungle and talk about all the cool shit that we didn't talk about on the last few days, and then also talk about our experience with sapo. Yeah, which was
Spanish, of course, for
toad.
The sapo.
Toad.
No, sorry, that's El Nino. Sorry.
But it was good for Ben and I, not so good for Doug.
I had the outlier experience, which
Yeah.
I think is important.
Yeah.
He shit himself, so that was weird.
I wish I shit myself. That would be a reprieve of what happened.
I shit myself.
That would be killer, right?
Yeah.
So
that would have been way cooler.
One of the cool things that I want to talk about is all the cool things that we didn't talk about going down to Arcana Spiritual Center of, like, for instance, this view that you get from the balcony of the little center, the social center that they put up there where everybody kind of comes and hangs out if they don't want to hang out in their room. Everything's on stilts. The jungle gets completely flooded. You're out there in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and it's freaking amazing. right? Wouldn't you say, guys? Well, I mean, what would you guys think about the views that we had out there, even when we could see like 50 miles away the storms coming in that hit us like an hour later?
Man, the views were worth the trip, no pun intended, because the trip was worth the trip. But
Yeah.
I mean, the views in themselves, to be that remote and to just be out there like that was absolutely worth the venture.
Yeah, I think so. And some of the food that we had out there, like these mangoes, were super ripe, and the fruit that we had down there was amazing.
Yeah, man, the best fruit I've ever had in my life is when I was in Africa.
Yeah, facts.
Deployed
100%.
and in Peru.
Yeah, and in Peru. Yeah, the fruit that they had down there was friggin' awesome. We went on some excursions that they offered to go see like wild monkeys, and we wanted to feed them, and they jumped into our friggin' boat. And so there's Falcon,
Which is ironic because usually, given their history, monkeys tend to abstain from jumping on boats.
Right, yeah, totally. And so there's Falcon, who is our cool guide for absolutely everything that we did.
Falcon's in the middle.
Yeah, Falcon's in the middle.
Yeah,
Falcon's not the name of the monkey. But we got out there, and the monkeys jumped in the boat. They took our food from us. There is Ben petting a wild monkey.
Or the monkey petting a wild Ben. Depends on your lens.
Which was cool. And every day, they also convinced us to pour dirty Amazon water on our heads with flower petals on the top, which was kind of cool. And I guess that was designed to help cool us off without air conditioning. What do you think?
I mean, what was the social utility of the flower shower?
Yeah.
I think there was two sides. There was just the superficial, hey, this is cool, it smells good.
Yeah.
And then I think there was a little bit of, hey, this, the fact that you're doing an activity to help get your mind and body right before the ceremony. I think that was part of it.
And so here's a picture of Ben and Doug after the flower shower ceremony with flowers in their hair. And of course, we had to put some flowers.
And don't be confused. That is chest hair. No, I didn't get wrapped up by some vine or anything like that.
He has a lot of hair. What was your nickname in the SEALs?
Training, I had our proctor in first phase referred to me as Water Bear.
Proctor?
Because, and I quote, I probably had relatives in the zoo, but yet was great in the water.
Yeah, that's a lot of hair there, man. And so during the week, we also took little trips into the local village where they lived out there without screens on their windows and without doors on their doorways. And so they were literally living on stilts in the jungle with no separation between them and everything that could fly or walk in, including potentially jaguars and spiders and insects.
Which they
and white tourists.
This is like half a mile from where we were. And there was one of the facilitators that told me they saw a baby jaguar 2 weeks before we got there.
Wow.
Up on the walkway between us and that village.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So we visited there, and then we saw some of their livestock that was walking around that they would generally
ducks.
raise
weird-looking squirrel.
and eat. Here's some baby chickens that are going to be future food. The village was flooding as we spoke, and so these people get around.
Which is normal.
Yeah, it's normal.
That's their norm.
Yeah, like for 3 months out of the year, they get around in canoes.
Please show a picture of the jail.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they had
Hold
a little
on.
jail, too.
Yeah, did I get that picture? I don't know if I got that picture.
God, you're such a piece of shit.
I know. Hold on. I don't think I got it.
Shit.
This is why we can't have nice things, everybody.
I don't think I got it.
All he wants to do is talk about his goddamn book and
That
not
is
take
not the
pictures
jail.
of jail.
And I played soccer with the local kids, as did Doug. And
I played football.
Yeah, Doug plays football. You're a fucking white guy.
Yeah.
All right,
And-
gringo. All right, gringo.
I tried some moves and hurt my ankle or hurt my heel a little bit more, and they fucking schooled me.
You are airborne in that photo.
I was not on the ground.
It looks like you're getting thrown into the air by that child. It looks like he's checking you.
He hit me hard. Here's one of the ladies that created some of the cool stuff that we brought home for gifts and tchotchkes and whatnot.
That Rick and Morty shirt.
And then we got to hold
What's up, Nibbles?
sloths.
Oh.
Yeah, and here's our friend Heather holding a sloth, and here's Doug
That's me. That's my good side.
holding a sloth. Here's our friend Anton holding a sloth.
Anton's the shit.
It was fucking awesome. Here's me holding a sloth. There's the whole group, if you're not getting the pattern, was able to hold a sloth. And it was really cool.
The coolest thing about that was that
Fingering it?
it wasn't a zoo. These were sloths that needed rehabilitation in some capacity.
Yeah.
And a local villager, for whatever reason, that's their history of taking care of local sloths, and that's what they did.
Yeah.
And then they would release them when they, were up to whatever standard sloths have standards.
You know what blew my mind is that I learned that sloth moms just abandon their babies like before they're ready. And,
Hard love.
Yeah, and they either make it or they don't. I mean, which is a lot of the animal kingdom, but at the same time, they're fucking sloths. They move really slow, and how do they feed themselves? And, it's like it's like everything's a predator for them. The hawks out there.
Shit, water's better for them.
Sloth lives matter.
Sloth lives matter. And so here is the grandmother matriarch
Faustina
of the Shipibo tribe who sang the beautiful Icaros for us and with their other tribes.
And the Icaros are the healing songs that are sung during the consumption and ceremony of ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And they are the equivalent of what most gringos consider the Trinity.
Is that the parallel?
Yeah, so the Icaros, if you look at any of the weavings
right
in the studio,
yes,
then you'll see a repetitive pattern that exists in the DMT world that they basically memorized and hand weave.
Right.
And so that pattern, the visual pattern of the weaving, the song, and the spell of protection is like the Holy Trinity, like the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, except for this is actually real.
Wow, that's fucking awesome. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that that parallel. I gotta research this now.
And so some of the scenery out there was friggin' amazing. They took us fishing on a fishing trip, and we got to catch some piranha fishing. And of course, the only guy that really caught fish was
Wolf caught some fish because he's a fishing guy.
Yeah, it was the resident fisherman, Anton, who does a fishing guide service. We're going to have him as a guest on the podcast here in the future and talk about his guide service in Florida. But he is just funny as hell. I love that dude.
Yeah, Anton's
and he looks
fantastic.
And here's the piranha that he caught, little baby piranha, which was fucking amazing.
And they don't bite.
Yeah, and then here's one of the tapestries that Ben was talking about that has some of the ornate designs in it that I bought and brought home, hung up on the wall, which is really cool.
Yeah, so all that
And then here's our beer.
All that weaving that existed in that whole thing, like all that really small shit that you probably can't see.
Yeah.
That's the Icaros, and that's the protective spell that they weave, they chant, and
so the Icaros is a song, but also
the Icaros is a song, a spell, and a visual pattern.
Very cool. So, one of the things we haven't talked about yet, though, is the Wednesday experience that we had, or was that Thursday morning? Was the Wednesday just a kind of...
Yeah, that was the multiple jungle excursion day where we went out with
jungle excursion was horrible.
Yeah,
that was miserable.
We went out with Falcon and had the dick jumping spider that kept jumping on a fucking gay dude and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about freaking out? I'm in the back of the group with Falcon, and he's right behind me as we're coming back, and he goes, "Amigo, stop! Don't move!" And I'm in the fucking Amazon jungle with everything that can fucking kill you, which is like anything that can touch you. Because he's like, yeah, don't touch that plant, don't touch those ants, and so some of the fucking really badass ants had fallen on me from a leaf or something that I had brushed on the way. He's like, yeah, you don't want these. And he
those leaf cutter ants?
I got bit by one right through my shirt.
Yeah, he flicked them off of me before they got me, and he was like, yeah, that'll be a pain for 24 hours, and you don't want to experience that. I was like, thank you, brother.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, let's not do that. But one of the things that we experienced was the sapo.
Yeah, we're smoking the deadly venom of a fucking toad.
Ben, talk about the science of why. Why would we do that besides just being dumb?
Oh, I was going to say because we like to party.
That's why I finished with a specific.
So, if we're going into detail, the 5-methyloxy attachment to the dimethyltryptamine actually has the serotonin response of the body bypass receptors in the brain, so that when you experience this physiological response to this DMT compound, it is very unique in comparison to any other DMT experience, whether you've smoked DMT or imbibed ayahuasca or whatever the case, because once it binds with the receptors that it actually goes towards, all the receptors that were like kind of on edge, waiting for that affinity.
But by on edge, you mean like the mainstream receptors that like fire all the time?
Yeah, the ones that are when your body secretes serotonin, they start to chub up a little bit and get ready for some some activity
that pathway.
Right, and they're like, all right, here comes something, and they just kind of like cruise by, and then and they get all butthurt about it and burn out. So it really fries a lot of receptors that are responsible for all the bullshit that you probably experience on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so we did that in the morning actually right at noon, and everybody had a little bit of a different experience from it, but a lot of people were like
different,
really enjoying it. Like Evan said that it was one of the most profound experiences of his life. Anton said it was fucking amazing and a breakthrough for him.
After I bullied him into it.
Right, yeah.
After I lied to him about my experience so he wouldn't be stressed about it.
Tag team back again.
Sorry, Anton, for Doug lying to you.
He's not sorry.
He knows this anyways.
Yeah, okay.
I told him after the
Sean's not allowed to apologize on our behalf.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
Not sorry.
Yeah, and so, my experience with it was pretty amazing. It wasn't a complete breakthrough into the enlightenment space.
Because he's got bitch lungs.
But I do understand that it may not have been a large enough dose to do that, to have that type. Because one of my own theories in my own blue book about enlightenment is that it is a 5-methyloxydimethyltryptamine dump that comes from your own brain, mixed with some of the other compounds that create the amazing experience for you, including oxytocin, which can then burn out your old connections of ego and cause ego death, and then cause the new connections, the stuff that you're experiencing, to be your sense of self, etc. Serotonin obviously is going to be in there. Dopamine is going to be in there, but it's all theoretical. I'm not a doctor. We haven't done any studies. We haven't been able to catch lightning in a bottle and then do the blood draw and be in the fMRI at the same time of natural endogenous enlightenment experiences.
So
people have tried.
So there hasn't been any studies that have captured the 5-methyloxydimethyltryptamine flush, but every other chemical that you just rattled off has been documented in like ad nauseum.
Right.
And a lot of things that people don't realize, like dopamine gives you this sense of satisfaction from an accomplishment of a task, which hence the dopaminergic stimulants for like ADHD or whatever.
Yep.
And something that people may or may not realize, oxytocin is not only the chemical responsible for trustworthiness.
Yes.
Inducing a sense of responsibility to be trustworthy in a human, but also trust. So it gives you the capacity to have faith in humanity, and it gives you the compulsory need to be someone that humanity can have faith in.
Right.
Simultaneously. It's the only chemical that does both sides of the fence in the human body.
Yeah.
Every single thing, whether it be adrenaline and cortisol or dopamine and serotonin or whatever, there's always a contraindication in chemicals that are secreted to maintain homeostasis.
Yeah.
And the body's responses, like the sympathetic and parasympathetic response, exist to maintain a balance.
Yeah, I think Paul Zak has a great book on oxytocin, if I'm recalling my authors correctly, where he did a breakdown in a dumb number of studies that he did himself of just oxytocin levels in the saliva and things like that in different different environments, different exposures to different stimuli and stuff like that. So he did like a bunch of stuff, then wrote a book about it. It was pretty awesome science.
Right.
So if you want to pick something up like that, you can go to Audible or whatever and check it out.
So I think oxytocin, if we're talking about pharmaceutical chemicals, I think oxytocin, ketamine, and serotonergic stimulants in test phases right now for certain pathology are fundamentally, immeasurably the most profoundly, like, prospectively amazing chemicals in all of pharmacology and human history.
Yeah, because they're finding.
Yeah, so I didn't know some of those nuances about oxytocin you said, but I can go in the weeds about why oxytocin functions the way it does.
Ooh, nice.
So here's the deal.
Heading into the weeds.
The reason it functions the way it does is being creatures of evolution. We are data-driven creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Creatures that are better at acquiring knowledge and decreasing unknowns survive statistically.
Yes.
So being data driven, this is what's really interesting. Again, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is the correlation between being data driven, decreasing unknowns, and that specific chemical in the brain.
Right. Yeah. It has a self-propagation function.
And
Yeah.
a self-balancing function,
Yeah.
which is unprecedented.
Social utility through the roof.
I think that and ketamine are the only two things that are empirically not only not harmful, but profoundly beneficial to the human race.
Yeah. And so my theory is that,
I gotta read that.
an endogenous enlightenment experience includes like a 5-methyloxy dimethyltryptamine as part of the soup that helps create a lot of the visuals and launching you into the center of the universe and ego death and et cetera, and all the things that are associated with the unit of experience has been highly documented over the last number of decades, and has started from William James, the variations of religious experience 100 years ago. He started talking about that stuff, and then ever since then we hit the 1960s and whatnot, and the invention of LSD, and a ton of people started experimenting with exogenous compounds to put inside their bodies to figure out what the mix is. And so we did this stuff on Thursday morning or Thursday noon to experience it for ourselves. Ben, what was your experience of the 5-methyloxy DMT?
Hey guys, we hope you're enjoying this episode enough to forgive this 10-second break. But if you'd like to thank us for this content and support the show, or thank the boys for their service to the SEALs, and or just be cool and buy us dinner and some beers, you can do so at patreon.com. Search for 2 SEALs and a Walrus, and your contributions will go to the production of this show. And as always, we thank you for your support. Now, back to the show.
Ben, what was your experience of the 5-methyloxy DMT?
Wow. Yeah. So
I know. Let me ask you to put something that you cannot be put into words.
Oh, I got words from my experience.
Go.
Don't worry.
Yeah. So
I know, right? It's like you can't even begin to start to put things into words.
I mean, I'm gonna try anyway because people like words and shit.
Yeah.
So
Words are
tall
cool.
order.
Words are cool.
So just for some context, I tend to lean more towards the 12 to 18 grams of psilocybin mushrooms.
What's the baseline comparison here?
According to experts, 5 grams of psilocybin mushrooms is a hero dose, and I tend to lean towards 12 to 16 grams for a therapeutic experience. So fuck me, I guess. But so if you could imagine,
You're not a cheap date. That's the thing. That sucks.
yeah, fact. And so if you could imagine, like, the most potent, most expressive, most intense, and most incomprehensible and unidentifiable serotonergic psychedelic experience in relation to that, you'd have to multiply that by the magnitude of a numeral that doesn't exist in relation to a color describing time against
So how
the
would
way
you
it tastes.
how would you
like-
describe it though? I mean, because we had very different experiences.
Yeah,
we had very different experiences.
An omnidirectional factorization that multiplies it to the magnitude of an incomprehensible degree, because it does not hit on a single experiential perspective. It doesn't hit your taste, it doesn't hit your sound, it doesn't hit your touch. It hits all of them simultaneously and to a magnitude that is immeasurable, because the complete dissolution of all reality and all existence happens so quickly that you literally have no ability to maintain mindfulness throughout.
Right.
Unless you have a borderline dose,
Right.
and get stuck in the dickhead realm that Doug got stuck in.
Right.
And it's not fair.
Yeah, don't do that. Either go all the way or go home.
Yeah, like, what do you get when you have a tricycle and you take away one wheel?
Yeah.
Bicycle,
Nothing.
don't use
That's
that.
a bicycle. Don't use that.
Bad analogies. We got some. So wait, let me ask this product question. What you experienced, was that an experience of something that exists, or was that totally fictitious in your head? Gotta ask that question.
Ooh.
All right, so that's a loaded question.
Ooh.
It's not loaded.
Yeah, it is. And here's why. Because anything that exists in my head is my experience. So it's not something that is fictitious. It is 100% realistic to me. The same way everybody that thinks I'm a dickhead makes me a dickhead.
Right.
No matter how much I think I'm not.
True.
Can't disagree with that answer.
But perception does create reality sometimes.
Exactly. So my perception was a perception of a complete dissolution of all reality and all conceptual knowledge of what exists and what does not and everything in between, and like the blurring of, I mean, it would be imprudent of me to try to use words to describe this incomprehensible experience.
Yeah, I'm right there with you because
Must be nice.
just like I can't, like,
It
okay,
is.
and I say this with the caveat that, okay, I tried to explain the Enlightenment experience in a book where I took a bunch of chapters or a few chapters and tried to lay the whole thing out in
2 books that you guys can buy.
right, yeah, totally, yeah, go buy my books.
Book plug.
Yeah, it's in Mind Hacking Happiness, the Blue Book, on Volume 2, where I explain the endogenous enlightenment experience that was induced by meditation alone. I tried to put a bunch of words to that, so I'll just leave the caveat that when you start putting words to any ineffable experience, you fucking fail. And so I'm going to fail here and say that it was amazing. It was a feeling of unconditional love. There were some visuals associated with it. It was a feeling of dissolution of self and unconditional love for everything in existence and the whole universe, etc. All the standard stuff that you might get from a very potent psychedelic experience. It was not enlightenment, but again, I'm open to the fact that I may have not gotten a high enough dose to replicate what I experienced through the endogenous experience. Right?
I believe then, and still believe that you and I have a higher tolerance to that.
Yeah.
Because you and I actually asked for a higher dose.
Yes. We did, and she gave me a higher dose, and it still didn't give me the full ride that I had experienced through in basically the meditation session that just kind of took me by surprise, and enlightenment hit me like a Mack truck, right?
So I completely understand and agree wholeheartedly with what they're saying. I know both these guys pretty well, and their apparent tolerance for the dimethyltryptamine compound, period, no matter what attachment, like whether 5-methyloxy or NN, it is obviously something different than what I'm experiencing from a subjective standpoint. However, I think they'll both also agree with this. How is this going to sound?
You're a psychonaut?
Right, so if you're a psychonaut, fair enough. If you're a psychonaut, you're going to understand what I'm saying. And if you're an asshole that likes to get fucked up, then you're going to think I'm a fucking dickhead.
Then you're going to think you understand.
But here's the reality. I'm really, 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 really functional high.
Yeah.
I'm good at being fucked up.
Yeah.
I had a lot of practice.
Right.
Take it for what it's worth.
Disagree with that.
Yeah.
For the years that I've known you.
Fact. So whatever that means to whoever, it doesn't matter. Point is there's it takes it's a high threshold. Like Weber's law is to some degree exponentially expressed when I'm talking about like trying to describe a sensation that is like so funky.
It's like trying to describe a new color.
Right. So if I get so drunk,
we don't have words.
If I get so drunk that I can't talk, then that's one thing. What I'm saying is I got so fucking fucked up that my only response was wow.
Yeah.
And that's like video footage of it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really understand how I was going to explain it, and I realized once I started to gain some semblance of reality, and I kind of rolled my head over, I looked at the camera and I was just like,
yeah, because we got part of that on video.
all of it.
Yeah.
I was just like,
yeah.
Wow.
And from the outside, it doesn't look like anything happened. It's like you laid down and laid there for a little while.
Yeah, from the outside, I had my eyes open and I was looking around and all kinds of shit. And as far as I was concerned, after I tried to give some bastardized semblance of the I feel fine, I was gone. Eyes
I'm pretty sure I woke up doing that too.
Yeah, eyes closed, out of the world.
Yeah.
I was like, out.
Yeah.
And my eyes were open and I was looking around and I was just in a fucking world that doesn't exist. No semblance of time or anything. Like, nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I had a discussion with Rick Archer, who I had mentioned previously. He does the Bat Gap podcast, Buddha at the Gas Pump, and he interviews a lot of people who pass through the enlightenment experience. But it's always the discussion of, how would you explain if no one has ever had the experience of like sitting in a hot tub? How would you explain the concepts of warm and wet and bubbles and, the effervescent feeling of bubbles rising from the bottom of the hot tub if no one had ever experienced that? It's like you could make it a lifetime of analogies and try to communicate what it was like to sit in a hot tub. And you'd never get there. But as soon as you have the experience of that, bang, there's instant understanding. You've experienced it. There is no more questions. There are no more words that need to be communicated. And you simply know, the person knows what you've been talking about, because now the words that you put to it, they're like, oh yeah, I understand, and I agree with your assessment there.
What you're trying to say.
Yeah, right. But until they have the experience themselves, you're never going to get them there.
The reason we do these things is because we try to get outside of the fundamental barriers that exist from the biological structure of the brain.
Right.
The mind does not require the brain. The brain requires the mind. So when we try to break these barriers,
right,
via entheogen, meditation, whatever,
right,
once we break these barriers and we start to come back.
Yeah.
Well, what
the fuck do you say?
What's the quote about once the mind has expanded because of a new thought, it can never...
Oh, yeah. Oliver Wendell Holmes said, a mind stretched by a new experience can never snap back into its old dimensions.
I mean, there's physiological proof of that, which is amazing to me.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't have a purely great experience that you guys did with that...
Yeah.
To have an experience... I will. To have an experience where you realize you don't have the words to describe, it's still a beautiful aspect to me.
Yeah. All right, so tell us about your experience then, because you didn't have a good experience at all. And I think it might have been because you didn't have a big enough dose, but you kind of got halfway there, but you didn't get all the way there, and the experience that you had was not positive.
So, I'm not trying to be the voice of reason throughout this conversation, but I'm pretty glad I had a really negative experience with this, because that's the reality of what can happen. So anyone listening, I think should know.
Yeah.
Just like life.
This is not a game. This is not
and unicorns.
It's not a recreational experience. It is
not a recreational thing to do at all.
Yeah.
In any capacity.
Yeah.
You could not pay me enough to do it right now. It would take a couple of years for me to try it again.
Wow.
I would, but I need some time off. So, they described their experience. Mine was on average, or I guess in the long run, was more of a negative one. I woke up, and I say woke up, I was relatively unconscious for a couple minutes, not even. Yeah,
it was quick acting.
Yeah, but I felt as if I was drowning for 45 minutes, and that's what I woke up saying. I have to caveat, there were some positive things.
Right.
I actually felt, I did feel love.
Yeah.
I felt love from my girlfriend. It was amazing. I felt love from Reagan, who just walked in here. But the 45 minutes before that, I felt as if I was drowning, which, having had a few near drownings, I get where that came from. So as a whole, not the most positive experience.
So there was some huge time dilation for you.
Huge. I thought I was out for 45 minutes, but in reality, Sean and Ben, who were both near me, it was like a minute and a half. And it wasn't as if I was unconscious. I was there. But I felt as if I was drowning. And it's funny, I talked about this first or second episode.
Yeah.
I still walk away with the memory of that, meaning positive things to me. Like, oh, I needed to face that near drowning, or I needed to face that because of this. I have a positive memory of it. Even though I can tell you right now, I felt as if I was drowning.
And that for me, that was surprising, because I was like, I didn't realize that people could have such a negative experience on that stuff, because I heard nothing but positive stuff. And I was like, and it was, I went into it with the theory of thinking, okay, so, I had a 5-methyloxy dimethyltryptamine dump for my own brain, which helped me. Allegedly, right? My theory, my little pet theory about where my enlightenment experience came from.
Prove it.
So, right, exactly. Prove it. And so it was like, I thought it was going to be all
rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah, rainbows and unicorns for everybody.
So did I.
Yeah,
sunshine and rainbow dust.
Joke's on me.
Hey, Doug, do you think that that experience is derivative of how pathetic you are in the water?
So that's interesting, because I'm really good in the water.
Right.
Which, to me, that is the interesting dynamic of it. So to me, the human brain, my brain, had to associate what it was experiencing with something that it already knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if my brain felt as if it couldn't breathe, the memories form because of emotion.
Yeah.
And so if I had a strong emotion of a near drowning,
yeah,
I mean, it's just...
Yeah, it's going to bring it back up.
brought it back up.
Yep.
Because that's the last thing my brain remembers about on near drowning is that's what it felt like. That's what it looked like. And so that's where my brain went. So that's what I experienced.
So then, how do you explain to me how I didn't experience the same thing the entirety of the time we were in boats?
With the near drowning, or?
Yeah.
I mean, did you have a near drowning?
Yeah, every time I got in the water. I can barely take a shower without that experience.
I mean, did you get trapped in a boat?
Ben already covered that he's not a great swimmer.
No, I got trapped in the fucking wet part.
See, I got trapped in a boat once.
Yeah, I got trapped.
Like badly.
Funny you say that, because I got trapped in the rotor of a boat.
Oh, when you were the dive
Booze
master.
cruise?
When you were the dive master
I
on
was
that.
the dive master, and your buoy got caught in a prop.
In the prop of a booze cruise.
Yeah.
And I got sucked from about 20 feet of depth.
Man, was I nervous on the surface.
A second,
And I was super nervous, super tangent, but man, I was so nervous on the surface. But we did, the guy I was with who was helping me, because that was one of the first dives I was the supervisor of, who has years of experience more than me. You know, I leaned to him. I was like, "Hey,
I've been terrible."
Yeah, no, I wish it was. You know, I leaned to him and I was like, "Do we recall?" And he goes, "Nope." He goes, "They're about to crest under the boat." He goes, that wouldn't help. It would bring them up into the prop." Which at that moment I go, "Oh my God, I can't believe I just suggested to bring them up."
Yeah.
And the beauty of his experience to say, "Don't bring them up."
Yeah.
Because it would bring them up in the prop. I was like, all right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We're gonna ride it.
Good call.
Yeah.
And I'm not dead, so fucking.
So clearly I couldn't have done
win.
too bad.
Yeah.
Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy story that you guys told about that whole ordeal, and where you were like right next to the prop and you were yanking on the fucking rope.
Yeah, Type 2 DCS can eat a dick.
Yeah. Wow. And you had your dive flag. I mean, that you had the buoy with the dive flag there, letting them know, and they just fucking rolled right over it.
The boot, it was a catamaran at night, a party catamaran in Key West. So clearly they were looking out for tiny little buoys floating on the water.
Yeah. We don't need to steer.
No.
We have alcohol.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, if you look over the side of the boat, there's a bunch of Navy SEALs.
And we're sucking them up into our prop.
And we're all still on bag, trying to fucking not have to repurge our system. Staring at these assholes taking cell phone videos, like hashtag SEAL teams.
Oh, yeah, because the boat thought you guys just came up.
Yeah, they were just like,
They're like, oh, cool, these divers.
Bunch of Navy SEAls in the
And
water.
I'm on the boat shitting my pants,
Me and
thinking
Parker
like,
are just like,
oh, they just got ripped up and have AGS.
Yeah, I was 100%.
AG.
Yeah, I was 100% certain that I was going to embolize.
Yeah.
Wow.
You probably are.
That would explain a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fucked up situation. Foobar.
Yes.
Foobar, as we would say in the Navy.
So, my experience with the toad venom was very different than your guys's.
Yeah. I'm sorry for that. That sucks.
I'm not.
I walked away with a good memory of it in a weird way.
Excellent. All right, so let's talk about the effects that we've had since we've left. Because we were in the jungle and we got on the boat and we did another 4 hours back into the mud. Got on the little motorcycle trike thing that took us back to the van, that took us back to Iquitos, that took us back to air conditioning. And we stayed at the DoubleTree, which was nice. And that was amazing. And slept in a real bed and had some hot showers again, because all the showers in the Amazon jungle are cold and they are from the river.
Which is convenient since it's like 99 fucking degrees centigrade.
It's pretty warm.
Yeah. Not complaining about the cold showers.
No. And the fans do not cut it in the rooms.
No.
It is fucking hot in the middle of the night and you wind up sweating.
Which is why we shorted the entire electrical system of the whole village by stockpiling fans in our room.
Well, that's what happens when you try to push DC current that far.
That's what happens when you take your own comfort in your own hands.
Yeah.
So we did that, and we got back to Iquitos.
Iquitos.
I call it Iquitos. And then we stayed in the hotel, and then we got out the next morning. We had some amazing food again at the restaurants, because the restaurants there are very nice, and they had some good food, breakfast food especially.
Some meat pockets.
And then got on the flight back to Lima, where we had another 7-hour layover just to kind of chill.
Man, that was such a long travel back.
But Doug did a solid for everyone, and we owe you big time for this. Still, you burned up some miles to get us upgraded into business class, where we could have the full reclining seats on the way back. That was.
I was glad you guys slept, because for whatever reason, I didn't sleep at all.
Yeah, I didn't sleep a whole lot.
Yeah.
I think I was in and out
It was at least comfortable.
Yeah. But that was nice. And then we jumped from Miami back up to here.
Mm-hmm.
And then Doug and I had another drive.
Oh, man, that bonus drive.
Yeah.
So change.
Yeah. So what happened afterwards? Like, what happened with your integration? Because we had a whole exit meeting about integrating and about changing our diet and easing back into
Society?
Easing back into society.
And incorporating Dharma.
Right.
Which is functional, healthy lifestyle practices that give you the capacity to maintain a positive perspective on your existence.
Well put, man.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
God damn.
Walking Webster's Dictionary of bullshit.
Hashtag Dharma Enforcer.
Dharma Enforcer.
That's on my business card. One of them.
So integration. What's weird to me, and maybe, I don't know if you felt this way because we actually haven't discussed it. I would draw a parallel with my experience leaving active duty and integrating with civilian life, because the reality is when you have a certain experience, it changes you. It doesn't matter what the experience is, it changes you on some level. So integrating with those who have not experienced it is bullshit. If we're being honest.
Yeah.
No, it's bullshit.
It's asinine. It's pointless.
It is. It's absolutely that.
What do you gain from that?
Yeah. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
So the only thing I really have to add is, I guess, I think I was a little more quiet about those experiences, or when I was asked.
Because what are you going to say?
Yeah. I mean, how do you put into words something that can be related, right? And how do you share with people who haven't gone through the experience that you're having, or the awakening realizations that you had while you were down there? It's fucking impossible to do.
I'll tell you, I answered this question for one of them fucking brain nerds at the VA when I got out of the military.
One of the brain doctors?
Fucking head doctors.
Yeah.
One of the 19 they bounced me around to, by the way.
Yeah. Because they want to make sure you're not going to kill people.
Because they couldn't put their heavy thumb on it.
Right.
They couldn't figure the fuck out. So I got bounced around 19 different psychologists since I've been out in less than 3 years. So 19 was the number that we stopped measuring in about 2.5 years.
Right. It's fucking ridiculous.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So the first one said, right when I got out, how do you plan on assimilating?
Right.
And I said, why the fuck would I do that?
Right. Assimilating into a broken society.
Broken, whatever. It doesn't matter. Why the fuck would I leave this world and go aggressively pursue a skill set that is not attainable on this side of the fence?
Right.
Why would I live a third of my life in that world?
Right.
And then come back and just pretend like it didn't happen?
I get it. I mean,
why the fuck would you do that?
Right.
It's insane.
Right. I mean, you're talking about regressing at that point.
There's a difference between being productive and being effective and being contributing and then assimilating.
Right. I mean, that would be like asking, someone who's gone through an awakening or an enlightenment, so like, oh, when are you going to start allowing your ego to take control of your life again? It's like, fuck no.
Or asking Bill Gates what his plan is for when he's destitute and broke.
Right.
I mean, to me,
why would he plan for that? That the whole point of making money was to not.
Right. To not have to do all that bullshit. Yeah. And so there's a different level of development. If you're a rich person, you develop a certain amount of wealth that you don't necessarily have to give up. But when you're a conscious person, or when your brain is firing on all cylinders and you're not fucking broken in comparison to society, why would you want to move back into something that is fucking broken?
Something that I left in the first place.
Right, exactly. Because you left a broken society to be something exceptional and to work in a place and be...
Allegedly.
Right, allegedly. And be something extra normal.
I don't want to, I don't want to diminish the value of the career, because it's definitely a point of pride. It's a prestigious concept. But the reality is I should have known out of the gate the first time that I was too much for that community as a whole to handle.
Yeah.
That was definitive that I was not going to get enough from them. And that's fine.
Ironically, though, you had your shit in one bag and you were an exceptional operator, but they just didn't like how you were doing some of your free time activities.
But that's the thing. I was an exceptional operator to the people that were
I can talk
operating
about
with me.
your repertoire.
Yeah, I was an exceptional operator to the other operators that were literally next to me, at like the adjacent operator, but nobody else, which is fine because the vanity doesn't precede the fucking desire to be an effective operator. At least not for me. And that was one of my fundamental gripes, because people would walk off the line at the range and laugh about how they missed that because, you know, today's not their day. I guess they're not getting that gun for the fucking...
So your gripe was that at the end of the day you were...
I took it seriously, and then I was not taken seriously. And it was because of my personal life that I was not taken seriously. And it was because of my authenticity that I was not taken seriously. And we're a community that prides itself on innovative whatever, even in their ethos, to say we are innovative, da-da-da-da-da-da. They're kicking out one of the most innovative people.
Right.
Because of the innovation.
Yeah, so they're looking for extreme people, except not too extreme.
What's the saying? The person that thinks one step ahead is genius. The person that thinks 2 steps ahead is
it's insane.
Insane.
Yeah.
And I was insane.
Ben might be 4
because
or 5,
I was two drug tests away from beating zero tolerance policy twice, which I did.
Yeah, because no one's failed a drug test on active duty.
Yeah, but all of them lost their tried it, and I got away with 2, and I got kicked out over a fucking technicality.
And with an honorable discharge, by the way.
Yeah. So what did I tell you?
So you want my third party opinion?
Please.
So I mean, there are people that are divided on Ben.
All of them are.
Ben.
Yeah. You either love Ben or you hate Ben.
Ben is one of the few handful of human beings that I would actually trust my life with. And the people that know the version of Ben that I know, or at least, let me say this, the people that know Ben for Ben feel the same.
And you know what? That's one of the reasons that I said yes to the Amazon trip just blindly. You know, he's like, we're going to the Amazon. And I said, you know what? I can trust this guy to get me in and out of the fucking Amazon, even if the shit hits the fan, geopolitical problems that, you know, erupt from nothing. I know we are going to be in good shape when we go down into a third world country. And if the shit hits the fan, I'm still going to be good. And we're going to go, we're going to have a great time, and it's going to be an amazing experience. And fuck any doubts. And that's exactly why I said yes immediately. And I was like, yeah, let's get the fucking plane tickets. Let's do it all. And said, let's go. Because I was like, you know, how could you not go on an amazing fucking trip into the Amazon jungle with 2 fucking Navy SEALs who know their shit, who are amazing operators, and, you know, if the shit hits the fan, you're in good shape, right? You're gonna be safe.
Yeah, we do well when things get weird.
All right, so let me ask you this. 2 Navy SEALs. How did going into the jungle and doing copious amounts of entheogenic psychedelics with the shamans of Peru change you from then until now? How has your life changed? Besides the fact that, oh, by the way, we need to discuss your, I know it was a rough week for you guys, so I won't give you too much of a difficult time that you had fucking diarrhea for a week after the trip. That was like,
and I got a pretty strong gut.
Yeah. I didn't have that problem, by the way.
I did.
I came home, took some probiotics, and I was like normal in 24 hours.
Well, aren't you fucking special?
I am special.
Must be nice not to have dysentery.
Hey guys, if you guys don't know this, then Sean also has a book about not getting diarrhea.
Book plug. Speaking of plugs, I could have used something that week of diarrhea.
Yeah, that was, and that I understood that was painful for you guys.
Yeah, it's painful for my porcelain toilet.
So how was it besides the diarrhea? How was the experience after? Like, how's it change your perspective? Because I know, Ben, it's changed your perspective on some things.
Yeah, because there's a lot of medical science out there, and a lot of them would say that if you have diverticulosis, then it requires surgery, resectioning of the bowels to remove the maladaptive diverticulum.
Right.
However, combo ceremony reestablished a functional property of the diverticulum.
So the frog poison puke party was good for you.
Frog poison puke party made me feel, and I still currently feel, better than. And when I say better, I mean in less pain, with less dysfunctional parts, and a general sense of well-being, more so than I have been since, as far as I can recollect, since I was 11 years old when I broke my spine for the first time.
Okay. So how about the dimethyltryptamine experiences? Have those had any effect on your relationships or how you're living your life?
That was more of a it was more of an affirmation thing.
Okay.
We talked prior to anyway.
Yeah.
And
We haven't done it on this podcast.
right. And when we met, we talked about how you got to be the change you want to see. You got to take responsibility for your own well-being, and the most fundamental part of that is understanding that you are in charge of your own perspective on reality.
Are you saying happiness is a choice?
I'm saying if you don't think happiness is a choice,
You're not
then
happy.
you're not happy.
Boom.
Nice.
Get out of my head.
True.
And for all of you that aren't happy and you don't believe it because you're not happy and you're stuck in that rut, stop.
You can stop.
Yeah.
It is a choice. You can take control of your
You're
mind.
not in a rut.
There's a reason.
You're sitting on ground. Like you're not high centered in a fucking rut like an off-road vehicle.
Right.
You are literally sitting on solid ground.
Yeah.
In neutral.
There's a reason they call it your mind, because it fucking follows your directions if you learn how to take control of it.
And there's a reason that your perspective is your reality. And there's a reason people say perspective is reality, because everyone's assessment of their environment around them is in relation to the way they see themselves and a notion of temporal place. So if you think that there's no way to be happy, then you're 100% correct.
Yep.
And you're going to die fucking miserable.
Right.
Yep.
And if you just shut the fuck up and listen, and you realize that no matter how miserable you think you are, happiness is a choice, because somebody that's happy is telling you that,
Right.
and you just give up being right about being miserable,
Right.
then guess what?
Yeah.
What's the worst case scenario?
Right.
Literally. Worst case scenario. Anybody?
Yeah.
Anybody? Happiness.
Right.
Fucking oh no.
Yep.
Here's the reality, and here's the caveat.
Piggyback?
You know, yeah, no one walks around 24/7 just pissing happiness.
Right.
When we say happiness is a choice, it's an overall average. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
Because the human existence encompasses negative experiences, blah 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 blah.
It's a negative bias.
The meaning of certain experiences is how you remember things. It's how you create your self map.
Yep.
What you connect emotions to, blah blah blah, and it takes practice.
Yes, it does.
It takes years of practice.
Wait, to
Sometimes.
get good at something, you have to practice?
It is a perishable skill, as they say.
It is.
But nothing else is like that. You don't have to practice other things.
Anything worthwhile, I'll go on a branch and say takes fucking work.
Yeah. All right.
I just
So,
invented that up.
so tell us about
Man.
your experience since we've left the jungle.
So, as I just finished sounding like a super positive person, I'll tell you how negative,
HIV positive?
not just positive. So I felt like I was drowning for 45 minutes.
Yep. From the 5-MeO.
Yep. I still have the memory of the images of being underwater.
Yep.
At night, trying to reach the surface, but I couldn't.
Yep.
I have the memory of inhaling water and aspirating and coughing. I still have the memories that were positive, which
Yep.
were towards the end of that, which again still felt like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So my experience with that, wouldn't do it tomorrow.
Yeah. But I mean, overall, with the ayahuasca and the whole thing,
Oh, yeah.
since we left the jungle, how's that changed you?
That's a good question. I think in some ways, like any, I don't want to say profound, any enriching experience or deep experience will change a person.
Yes.
It doesn't matter whether it's, being a Navy SEAL or having a just enlightened experience, it changes you. It becomes harder to relate to people who have not had your experiences, which is fine. That's normal.
Yeah.
It just tightens up your circle.
Yeah.
So in that capacity, I think I was used to that kind of adjustment, even though it was a different adjustment.
Yeah.
I was used to kind of feeling like an outsider, I guess, but I don't mean it in a negative capacity.
No, just aim small, miss small.
Exactly. I'm fine with it. Rare, if there are experiences that are rare within a population, people that have that experience should expect to have a difficult time to relating to others who have not.
Right.
To me, that's just the human condition.
And they should not feel compelled to try to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So are you saying that you do have more difficulty in dealing with people who have not had that experience?
Actually, I will say this. Thank you for asking that. I feel like I have an easier time relating to people.
Yeah.
And it might be because my experience with fear during ayahuasca.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's it, but I do feel more relatable towards people
Yeah.
since then.
Gives you more empathy.
Mm-hmm.
More understanding of why they're having the difficulty that they're having in their life, regardless of whether you're going to be able to get wrapped up in it or not. You understand exactly where their pain is coming from.
Yeah, and to backtrack, what I'm referring to is, what was it, night 2 or 3 of ayahuasca, where I actually asked to experience deep fear, and I did.
Yeah, we covered that in a previous
and I asked to
episode.
experience it because I hadn't experienced debilitating fear, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it.
And so your life is a little better because of the trip into the Amazon jungle. Would you say that's fair?
Totally true.
Nice.
Totally true.
For me, my daily existence isn't that much different. My understanding of everything from a 50,000 foot view, my whole life and existence and other people isn't that much different. But the things that ayahuasca brought me from the jungle literally improved the relationship that I have with my wife and family, because it allowed me to see how much I was focused on the outside world and trying to help the world and not tending to my family. So that was a major win for me. I came back and literally everything changed because of the change that I had experienced in the jungle. And it improved my personal life here. Not anything professional, not my personal understanding of enlightenment or anything like that. None of that got improved, like notched up or anything like that. No extra gear there.
Right, because that was already perfect.
Well, it was strong enough, right? I mean, anybody that tries to put words to enlightenment is going to fail. And I'm a fucking failure just like everybody else is. Ken Wilber said, every fucking guru that exists on the planet has feet of clay.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that we're fucking statues standing on stuff that's going to crumble and have us fall no matter what we try to do or say. Because anytime you try to put perfection and enlightenment and wisdom through this filter of this imperfect meat suit and
a fathomable meat suit.
Yeah, of a mind of a human being, you're going to fuck it up second one.
Are you saying to human is to air? I just made that up.
Yeah, that was really good.
Trademark.
I like that.
Trademark.
It's pretty
Legally
typo.
binding.
Nice.
So there wasn't any like deeper wisdom that I got out of the jungle, but I got a lot of practical advice from my subconscious level that was like, hey, you need to look at this. And hey, you need to look at this. And hey, you need to take care of this. And I was able to come home and take care of those things. And now fucking everything's amazing again, which is awesome. And so my behavior changed based on those insights, which has made my relationships with everyone amazing. Again, awesome. The way they were a long time ago. And, but besides that, I do have now a better intellectual understanding between the differences of exogenous psychedelic experiences and endogenous enlightenment and the material differences between the two. And I also have a better understanding of what ayahuasca can do from getting your waking awareness directly talking to a lower level of subconscious and the benefit that it can have for a ton of the people.
Right.
And why it's a positive thing. Like enlightenment light, that is out the window now. It's like I went down there with that attitude. It's like, oh, what's this going to be, enlightenment light? I went down there with a little bit of I've been there and done that. But then I really understood the positive benefit of this sacred medicine to really connect at a level that's not all the way slip and slide down into the ether and out through infinity, where you absolutely understand everything. You can gain access to the infinite wisdom and knowledge of the universe and be able to bring some of that back and create new science and all that other cool shit that's happening. But you can stop in the middle and you can go out wide.
As long as you open the dialogue.
Yes, as long as you open the dialogue and you allow your subconscious level to take you where it needs to take you, and you are willing to go on that ride, as tough as it could be for you. Because there's some things that, maybe...
As tough as it should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Getting dragged through dirt.
Yeah.
At times.
If you think you're going to grow from positivity and fucking sunshine and rainbow dust...
No. There's growth. There's cost to growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's cost to anything worthwhile.
There's a reason that historically everybody that's perceivably always happy or the happiest or the highest quality of life.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they have dealt with more shit than most people can fucking imagine.
Right.
there is a cost. And if you think you're just going to grow circumstantially,
It takes work.
then, yeah,
It takes work, or
this
just
life isn't for
sometimes
you.
circumstance.
Yeah, this life isn't for you. Stay in America, stay a snowflake, and hope that whoever you vote for next election wins. Like,
Right.
I don't know what other fucking asinine concepts to give you advice on.
Right. Yeah.
But if you want to be happy, truly happy, eudaimonic happiness,
Yeah.
a sense of true inner peace, then stay the fuck by, because you are going to face everything that you have been abstaining from facing.
And it's going to help you.
Yeah,
Really?
it's gonna be the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah.
You're gonna hate it so much that it is the best thing that's ever happened.
I agree with that.
But that's why it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people won't be introspective. People are scared of introspection because that first hurdle they get to, it looks like a hurdle, and then they pretend it's a wall that's a fortress, and then they walk away from it, acting like they're the victim because nobody will let them in the door.
Right.
Sean and I were just talking about this, actually.
Really?
No, like, literally, we were saying the first introspective conversation you have is the hardest, and it should be.
Fuck yeah.
And if you don't have that first conversation with yourself and ask yourself the hard question with the painful answer that you don't like and you try to pretend like isn't there, if you don't have that, you can't grow.
Right.
But
Yeah.
after that first painful one, it gets easier.
It does.
You can look at yourself, you can ask the hard questions, you can hear criticism after that. It's easier. It's way fucking easier.
Yeah, because I think
But that
after-
first one, though,
I think after the first one, everybody realizes that weighing themselves against another human being is unwise.
well, if you treat your ego like a small, scared child
Yeah,
and have a
it's-
conversation with it,
It's subservient.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
It
not,
acts-
it's
there's a
not
reason,
something that
but-
requires killing. That's inappropriate.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't let it drive you home.
All right. I think that is a great place to call this 4th episode. And we've gone deep these last few episodes, like really
Yeah.
awesome content that, a lot of people are going to be interested in hearing and having us chew on, our experience of this sacred medicine of the Peruvian jungle and all the cool things we did down there. And we're going to go again. And if you guys want to be on the list of the invites that we send out to say, hey, if you want to join us, click this link type of thing, you need to get on the list. And the list is found at twosealsandawalrus.com. Those people who are on there earlier are going to get the best offers because you've been with us the longest and you're supporting us from the beginning. And this thing's going to be huge. And so we're going to have different offer levels, different freebies, different discount levels and stuff for where you are on that list. So smash the subscribe button, hit that bell icon, go to twosealsandawalrus.com, get on the list, get your name in there for the hat for all the cool stuff that we're going to be doing in the future. We may come to your town. We may buy you all your drinks if you come out and hang with us. Who knows what we're going to be able to do. Anyway, hope things are well for you guys. We're doing this for you. We love you guys. Mash the share button. Put this on social media. We need your help because of the fringe, controversial content that we're talking about that's going to help you in the end. We love you. Talk to you soon. Peace. Share this shit.